Okay, hold on a second. So we don't have very much left to do over here with regards to Hilchos Bishul. Okay, the whole Indian of Hatmona, right? The idea of insulating things. All of the halachas are referring to Erev Shabbos. On Shabbos itself, it's forbidden to take something and to cover it up, even if you're going to cover it up in a way that it would be okay on Erev Shabbos. And even if it's not going to add heat, it's only going to retain the heat that's already there. That's something that you shouldn't do on Shabbos.
Meaning that if you removed it, you should not put it back. Like if you made a mistake and you intended to keep it on to insulate it, to preserve heat, but either it fell off or you somehow...
Whatever, maybe you wanted to have a little peak.
Yeah, the whole idea there inside is you wouldn't put it back. You shouldn't
put it back on Shabbos. When's this all beginning? So Erev Shabbos is a little bit of an undefinable moment, right? When does Erev Shabbos turn into Shabbos itself? What's called Ben Hashmashot, which is that's a plural of the Shemesh. So in between the two suns, we're talking about the sun and the moon. What's called twilight. What exactly is twilight? When exactly is twilight? When does Ben Hashmashas end? When does it begin? Whatever. I mean, there's all kinds of things that need to be. All of your preparations need to be done way before to make sure that you're not going to run into any kind of possible prohibitions over here that it's going to be Shabbos itself. Okay, we mentioned yesterday. I think we mentioned yesterday, right? Thermos. It's okay to use a thermos. You can pour hot water into a thermos as well. So, for example, let's say you've got your hot water urn, right, plugged in on the side over there, and you don't want to keep getting up and going to fill up your cup. So you could take a thermos, a regular thermos, and you can fill it full of water from the hot water, and you can pour it in over there. That's no problem whatsoever. Even though the whole function, of course, of the thermos is to keep the water hot, and you might imagine, but perhaps there's a problem of hatmana, but there isn't any hatmana at all, and it's okay to do that. This is one of these things from my childhood. I don't know if people still use these things, but hot water bottles. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? These rubber hot water bottles that people would take with them to bed in order to keep themselves warm at night, which I must admit was always rather a bit odd, because once you get into bed, after a couple of minutes it's nice and warm anyway. But whatever, it's okay to pour water into things like that. That's okay as well. Interestingly enough, you could pour water. Let's say, for example, you want to use one of these hot water bottles in order. Let's say you're aching, right? You've got muscles that are aching or something, or your back is aching or something like that. It's permissible to fill up a hot water bottle like that and to place it on the part of the body that's aching. There's no problem with hatmana whatsoever.
Or isn't that a refuah? Wouldn't that be a problem for refuah?
I don't think there's a problem with refuah, because it's not really. I mean, it's not really doing anything that's refuah dik, right? What's the problem with refuah over here? Refuah is that you're going to do something which is going to cause you, maybe you'll have to go and grind up bits and pieces in order to make medication. Over here, you're just taking hot water and you're putting it into a bottle and you're putting it on whatever part of your body is aching, which is that's not a problem. Okay, what happens if you left you did hatmana by mistake on Erev Shabbos? You covered something up in a way that you're not supposed to do it. Are you allowed to eat the food on Shabbos? You're not allowed to eat the food on Shabbos. So long as the food was cooked, then you can eat it on Shabbos, even though it's not something that you should have done. Right? The insulation shouldn't have been done in the way that it was done. But once it's been done and the food is cooked, then you can eat it. Some opinions, there's a difference of opinion amongst the poskim over here. Some say that the food has to be completely cooked. Some say that the food has to be ma'achal ben drusai, which is, again, we're talking about a third cooked or half cooked. I would say b'shas adchak, if you've got a lot of guests and you've got nothing else to eat, then for sure I think it would be okay to rely on the more lenient opinion and to say that if the food was cooked ma'achal ben drusai, then you should be able to use it on Shabbos as well. Okay, one last halacha over here, that if you took cold food and you put it into a pot or onto the urn on Shabbos and you insulated it in a way which is moisiv hevel, it's going to make it warm up, right? You've wrapped it up in a few towels and you've got it sitting over there in order to be able to get it nice and warm. You can't eat that food on Shabbos. because it was done on Shabbos. However, there are some poskim who say that once the food has cooled down again and got back to the original temperature that it was, and at that point it's okay to eat it. Whatever, I mean, you know, what are you supposed to do? I think, again, it probably depends a little bit. Can you rely on that opinion? It depends a little bit on the situation, depends on what you have and what you don't have available to be able to eat for Shabbos, for your Shabbos meal. So here, I mean, basically, we've got to the end of the halachas of bishul. What you can, how you can warm up food on Shabbos, how you can't warm up food on Shabbos. If anybody's got any questions, just general questions about Shabbos, or a general question about anything, if we you know don't get very far with the Shabbos questions, then we could do that as well. Yes.
Why don't we just eat cold food? So you don't have a problem with that.
Because if you eat cold food, then people might be concerned that you are a Karaite. One of the things that the people who don't believe in Torah Shebaal Peh, that they only follow the written Torah, not the oral Torah, was that it says that you're not allowed to kindle a fire in your home. So they took that very literally, and on Shabbos there was no fires in their home whatsoever.
Pitch dark.
It was dark and it was cold in the winter,
so at
anyway.
Night they also didn't have?
At night they didn't have on Shabbos. They didn't have any light whatsoever.
But they could have.
You could kindle from before, right? You can kindle from before. However, what they couldn't do was warm up food.
Yeah.
Right? They couldn't have any warm food. And one of the reasons why it's already brought down amongst the Meforshim, one of the reasons why we eat cholent on Shabbos morning is, I mean, aside from the fact that it's, you know, this delightful Jewish gastronomic delicacy of pouring whatever you have handy into a pot and letting it sit on something hot for, you know, hours and hours and hours. Aside from that, is that by eating cholent, you are showing that you are not a Karaite. You are showing that you follow the Torah Shebaal Peh, which says that it's not permissible to light fire in your home, but it's certainly permissible to get benefit from your fire during Shabbos if you just do it the right way. And that's one of the reasons. It's interesting, right? One of the reasons you see amongst the early authorities that it was a big thing eating cholent. Nowadays, do you have to eat cholent? Not really, but you should eat something warm in order to show that you don't have any problem with eating hot food on Shabbos. Yeah.
I don't know what it has to do with bishul, but I always wondered when you have dud shemesh, yeah, and it heats up on Friday, everything is nice and hot. What prevents you from taking a hot shower on Shabbos, provided that on Shabbos day itself, there's no new hot water being produced?
Yeah. So the evidence is like this, that we spoke about it yesterday actually, that the idea of a dud shemesh, if you've got a method of being able to cut off the water supply going into the dud shemesh, so all you're doing is draining water out. So there are poskim who allow using that water on Shabbos. Taking a shower is already a little bit more complicated. Rav Neuvert writes that due to the various complications of Shmir Shabbos, he writes that a person shouldn't take a shower even if there's a way of doing it in a halachically permissible way on Shabbos. But if, for example, you want to wash your hands and face with hot water, you need to rinse off something properly to be able to use it again on Shabbos with hot water. So there are poskim who say that it's okay to do so long as no water is going into the dud shemesh. The problem is that the minute you've got water going to the dud shemesh, you're drawing out the hot water. It's now filling in cold water, and it's going to get heated up by the sun.
So I don't really have a dud shemesh. I only have a boiler in my house that only heats when you turn it on.
Right, which is a problem. There's no way to use something like that on Shabbos.
Why is that?
Because you're a direct action, you're cooking the water.
No, I'm saying I heat it up Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
And then turn it off. Whatever remains in.
Oh, and it stays hot.
Yeah, it's inside the house.
It's inside of what though? It's inside of there's a collection point, or it's just in the pipes.
In the boiler itself. Yeah. You know how those white things look? Yeah, that they're on the roof.
Yeah. You have one in your home.
All of those, yeah, have inside a coil. Even yours, who's standing on the
roof. Yeah, for sure. Wait, but you have only that part. You don't have the sun part of it.
No. It was inside the house. When it broke, they only put it in the house. They didn't want to put the money in for a new thing.
So if you've got a way of I mean, lechora, there must be a tap that can stop water from going into it.
What's the problem with water going in if it does not get heated up? You think it's
Oh.
still getting... I mean, the coil is shut off.
So nothing's happening. No, nothing at all. Lechora, nothing at all, right? All you've got over there is just a reservoir of water, that's all,
Yeah,
right?
hot water. And all the water's coming in. It's cold.
Yeah. So can you use that hot water on Shabbos? Shabbos has been heated up on Erev Shabbos, and absolutely nothing is happening to it now. When you put on the tap on Shabbos, absolutely nothing is happening to change the water. It's not heating it up. It's not doing anything. It's just drawing it out and sending it out through the tap. I mean, lechora, it should be okay to use it. Why would that be any different than using hot water that comes out of an urn? This is just a glorified urn, Lamaisa, right?
The Hasidim go to mikveh on Shabbos morning.
Yeah, but they're very careful. They don't. I mean, they can't use hot water coming out of the shower. The mikveh is heated before, right?
Yeah, I know.
The mikveh's the mikveh's being heated before, and it's in a constant state of being heated the whole time, which means that you're not doing anything by going into it. You're not doing anything. Some people are makpid on Shabbos to only use the cold mikveh. You know, most mikvehs, certainly modern day mikvehs, have got 3 different pools. One is hot. This is like Goldilocks to 3 bears. One is hot, and one is cold, and one is just right. So you know, some people are makpid to only use the cold one on Shabbos morning. You know the one about the masochist who liked to use the freezing cold mikveh, so he used the hot one instead. Good. Okay. I mean, on that uplifting note, maybe we'll stop over here.